All right, so we're back with part two today. We're still in temporaries versus permanent. Look at part one, get all the review. I don't want to spend time going back over that. I want to go forward. So we just read takeaway number 9. We're going to read takeaway number 11 now. Temporary takeaway 11. That is how a permanent man operates. How? He confines himself to his own wife and runs his home well. She has his children and she has his heart. No games, no messing around, and no temporaries. He enjoys his wife's body and is satisfied with delight in her love and with her love. That's a permanent man. He understands that I don't need more than one woman. The one I have, I can explore her for the rest of my life. She is deep with wealth and deep with treasure. I just have to keep developing her. I just have to keep studying her. And the more I yield to learning and studying about her, the less I need other women. The more I develop her and help her to accomplish the things that God created her for, the more I move away from others, because there's pleasure. When a husbandman, develops a field, he doesn't want anything else, because that's his field. And so as a permanent man, you have to be a developer. You have to be one that develops the woman in your life, because if you don't develop your wife, if you don't develop your fiance, if you're not developing your girlfriend, if you're not cultivating her, then you're going to lose interest in her, because the innate desire of a man was placed there by God in the Garden of Eden to cultivate the land. We're cultivators. So as a man, you have to reach in and find that cultivating nature that God placed in you so that you can develop and cultivate that woman, because she is just waiting on you to develop and cultivate her to do the right thing and to become all that she can be. Number 16, permanence will get you to your destination. There is just something about them and your purpose in life. They fit right in. They will always point you in the direction of success and purpose. So we understand that that's what permanents do. Permanents are concerned about where you're going, and they're interested in getting you to your destination. Now I have a treat for you today. I'm going to read a little bit from one of my favorite books, Power and Vision by Dr. Miles Monroe. What an amazing teacher. Great man of God. And he has left us a library of wisdom and understanding. I'm telling you, if you have not read Dr. Miles Monroe's books, you need to get on them right now. Him and Jim Rohn are two of my favorite mentors. I mean, I try to read everything they write. All right. So now, what we're going to do today, right here with Dr. Monroe, we're going to talk about the difference between sight and vision. Because as a permanent person, you have to understand that God placed you on this earth and he put vision in you. I'm going to let Dr. Monroe speak for himself. Now, this is what he said. And the reason I wanted to quote him is because as a permanent, you have to understand that your main focus in life should be your destination in life. Your main focus in life should be your destination in life. If you don't know where you're going, how will you get there? If you don't know where you're supposed to be, how would you know when someone comes along and they have your best interest at heart? They are willing to help you become all you can be. If you don't know you, how do you expect somebody else to know you and to take you where you're supposed to go? No, you got to learn your purpose, because your destination is designed by God to fulfill your purpose. So this is what Dr. Monroe said. The greatest gift God ever gave humanity is not sight, but vision. Sight is a function of the eyes, but vision is a function of the heart. You can have sight, but no vision. You can have sight, but no vision. Throughout history, progress has been made only by people who have seen things that were not yet there. Vision is seeing the future before it comes into being. Vision is seeing the future before it comes into being. My goodness. It is a mental picture of your destiny. A mental picture. So the greatest gift you have from God, end quote, is that God has given you vision. But it is not that which you see with your eyes. It is that which you see with your heart. Marriages get in trouble because men often, or women, mostly men, get distracted by what they see with their eyes or what they're hearing with their ears. When your senses are activated to temporary things, even if you're a permanent, you can get sidetracked. You can get off course. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. Listen to what Dr. Monroe says. For true visionaries, now you got to think in terms of marriage, you got to think in terms of men and women coming together, relationships, fiancés, and so forth. For true visionaries, the imaginary world of their visions is more real to them than the concrete reality around them. In fact, a visionary's vision is his reality, end quote. Whew. I quote, the most powerful force in life is the force of vision, end quote. He says the most powerful force in life is the force of vision. Vision has to do with your destination. It has to do with where you're going in life. And I'm telling you, your main focus in life should be your destination in life. That should be your main focus. And if you've lost your focus, you're going to lose your way. You're going to lose everything. Now, let's read from Dr. Solomon. 1 second. All right. Sorry about that. I had to learn the power of pause. All right. So let's read from Dr. King Solomon in Proverbs chapter 4. Having the mindset now that we're talking about permanence versus temporaries. We're talking about men and women and relationships, marriages. And I'm telling you, why do we have to keep talking about marriages? It's because marriages are under such a serious attack. Everybody in the kind of understands that. But the goal is to make sure that you, as someone who you're already married or you're interested in being married, or one day you're planning to be married, that you understand how important it is to think as a permanent, and to find another permanent thinking person to hook up with, because your chances of having a successful marriage goes way up when you're two permanents working together, because permanents are always working. Permanents understand that it takes work, it requires sacrifice, and it demands change. And if you're hooked up with someone who does not talk about work, sacrifice, and changing, let them go. Don't put the ring on if somebody does not understand work, sacrifice, and change. Okay. Now listen to Dr. King Solomon. I call him Doctor because the wealth of Solomon's wisdom is so vast. God anointed him and said, "I'm going to make you the wisest man that ever lived." We need to read Proverbs then. If this is a man that God anointed, there are things in here that we need to hear. So I'm going to read something. I'm going to read out of verse 14 out of Movement 4, Solomon's book on Proverbs. He wrote most of it, but not all of it. So this is what verse 14 says. Enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of evil men. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to tell you. When Solomon is talking about a wicked man or a wicked woman, and when he says man, he also is indicating a female as well, as male and female. I'm going to tell you this. A temporary is a wicked thinking person. A temporary is a wicked thinking person. A permanent is a purpose thinking person. A permanent is a purpose thinking person. So whenever you're reading about a wicked person, you're reading about a temporary, because temporaries are the ones that think wickedly. To think wickedly is to think twisted or away from that which is right. And when God puts you in this earth, he puts you with purpose. And he has a plan for your life. Excuse me. And so if you are outside of that, if you are thinking how not to fulfill God's purpose, if you are thinking to fulfill selfishness, then you are now a temporary person and you are a wicked thinking person. You're thinking away from or twisting what God has for you, or turning away from what God has for you. Trust me, you don't want to be a wicked thinking person. That makes you a temporary and it sets you up for destruction. Let's read. We're going to jump to verse 19. Now listen to what Dr. King Solomon says. The way of the wicked is like deep darkness. Ooh, Jesus of Nazareth. They do not know over what they stumble. He says the way of the wicked, the way of the temporary thinking person, or the temporary who's a wicked thinking person. Either or. He said it's like deep darkness. In other words, it's like a person in a room with no light, no candle, no anything, and it's full of furniture. He said they do not know over what they stumble. They will fall. I mean, it's guaranteed. The wicked fall every day. The temporary person falls every day. They break relationships up every day. They fall apart. And he says they are going to stumble. And they don't even know what they stumble over. Have you ever been in a relationship with someone and you get out of the relationship and it's almost cloudy? It's like, no, what just happened? How did we mess this up? What really went on here? And you don't even know what you stumbled. Or sometimes you stumble over. It felt like a chair. It felt like I stumbled over this thing, or the relationship broke up because of this. And you ask yourself, why? Why did we break up over this? Well, it's because you or that person or both of you were temporary minded people. You wicked thinking person at the time, so you were thinking outside of God's will and purpose for your life, or they were doing the same thing, or both of you doing it together. And so you both stumbled and fell, and boom, the relationship was over, or the relationship went into a dive. Okay? He says in verse 20, my son or daughter, attend to my words, consent and submit to my sayings. Let them not depart from your sight. Keep them in the center of your heart. So when he's talking about let them not depart from your sight, he's not talking about physical sight, because he references heart, which means it's your internal sight, just like Dr. Monroe was talking about, where your vision lies. He said, let them not depart from your sight, your internal sight. Keep them in the center. You hear what he said? Listen to what I'm telling you. Put it in the center of your heart. If you are a temporary, you need to listen to what I'm saying, because if you don't, and it's not, and the permanent mindset is not in the center of your heart, you are going to end up into ruin. You are going to stumble and fall. Your relationships are going to mess up. You're going to end. And I see that I'm at 12 minutes, so I gotta stop this video and start another one.